Recording progress.
Hello and welcome to 8 weeks of divine healing with Mia Sines and Lori Montrade. We love this, don't we, Lori?
I know. It's the highlight of our week.
Yes, it's beautiful. And we always open up the song or we always open up the session with a song to open our vibration. Now, there is a very new rule in this classroom and in all of SLR's classes going forward in January. All cameras must be on or you may not be in class, because I've had many people say they're vulnerable in here and they don't know who's listening. So all cameras on, especially starting in January, or people will be removed from class. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. This is too powerful of a group for people to not feel comfortable because they don't know who's on the other side listening to their story. Okay, I know you all understand that. So get over your stuff and get online. Seriously, that's part of the healing. All right, we are very excited to talk about the relationship with spirit and how to heal it. Super. If anybody knows Lori and me, this is our love, spirit.
Absolutely.
God. So I'm going to let Lori talk a little bit, since I got a little angsty there with you guys. It's all in love. It's all in love. But literally, I've had long time people say, no more, I'm not coming to any more classes unless people put on. And these are our private ones too, and the public ones, if people don't put on their cameras. So know that going forward in the classes. So, okay, Lori.
Yeah. So how's my voice? I hear an echo for myself. Do you hear the same echo?
You hear an echo? Others do? I don't.
I was. Now it seems okay now. It's okay? All right. Yeah, I kept hearing it twice, so I wanted to see if I needed to do something, but it sounds okay now. So let me just start by, it's so hard sometimes to kind of bring organization and structure to a topic like healing your relationship with spirit, right? And so as I was kind of thinking about how to bring this in a way that is somewhat organized and also give you some practicality to it, because we talk about these subjects and they're very much lived experiential. And so it's, important to bring it down to a level where you can actually start to do things with it and feel shifts happen as a result of what you're doing. So I thought about it in the way, to first talk about what is source. Mia and I have different words for it, and I'm sure you do as well. Some people might refer to what we're talking about as God. Some people might refer to it as source, universe, the divine creator. And there are, the list could go on and on. So yes, Mia.
Allah, Jehovah, Krishna. Okay. Everybody, thank you, Sandy. She's a longtime client of mine and she's Hare Krishna. So we honor and support everyone here. We love it. Before we jump back in, I just want to say that this space has been so powerful to bring in so many different people from all walks of life that I'm honored to be in this space. So thank you.
Yeah. And so whatever word, resonates with you, that's what we're talking about today. And like I said, if I refer to source, universe, God, it's really all the same. And I'm using them all interchangeably, certainly. But, thinking about what is source or God, right? And I also believe, and I'm not speaking to you today as if I am somebody who I've got this all figured out and I know all the answers, because I don't think anybody does really. But I'm speaking to you from my place of truth, from the place where I have spent lots of time and energy developing and listening for what is right for me. So I'm not saying all of this is right for you. You will have a sense as you listen and kind of try things on a little bit. You will have a sense, and felt sense in your body as to what is true for you. And I think that is how God works. I think that he speaks to each of us in the way that it makes the most sense to us, in a way that, resonates within our soul. So again, nothing I'm saying is, hardcore. You have to think this, otherwise you're not doing it right, or you're not thinking correctly. Nothing like that at all. It's really more, try this on and see how it feels. How does God speak this truth to you? And things like that. So just wanted to lay that out there. But from Mia, and I know that you will have beautiful comments as well, but when I think about what is source, what is universe, what is God, it is my creator. It is the essence of who we are. It is the loving presence that never leaves us. And I would even say that Sandy and Joanne and Diane and Christina and Mac and Anna and Philippa and Mia and myself, we are all God. We are all the source, because that is how we were made. And so when you want to know, what is source, what is God, look in the mirror. That's exactly what it is. So that is, kind of a starting point for me. It is both my creator, and I am a product of that. And so I am truly God. Mia, what other thoughts do you have?
I was reading the chat.
Okay.
I'm sorry, my eyes are
Yeah.
over reading. I'm thinking about those who worship under something slightly different than the normal realm, like Hare Krishna, Jehovah's Witness. For me, and I'd like to defer to Sandy for this. For me, I am aligned to a higher realm, just like all of you. I don't make it myself and not everybody else too. I believe we're connected to, I call it God, Father, Mother. It's a loving warmth, beautiful energy, power that most of you know that has healed me many, 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 many times. And why is that? I've been told I have a childlike faith in my creator. And since I was 4, I've been talking to God that I can recall, and questioning and saying, repeating what my grandmother told me, but I would understand that God is my true father, mother, my birth right, and the human aspect of my parents are the ones that are taking care of me on earth. And so when I would have my talks with God, I would say, because generally it was after I got in trouble and locked in a closet or something, I would say, I know you're my true father, mother. Why is mama so angry, so crazy, so mean, so whatever? And I would have these conversations, and I would dig through to find the most loving way. So for me, source, creator, God, they're all the same word. Now, when we throw in the universe, being metaphysical, I never used the word universe until the last 13 years. Never even thought about the universe. And so in that aspect, how much bigger and greater is the energy of divine love? It's massive, massive. And when we put a face to it, or put him in a chair with a beard, or, all the stuff that we've seen pictures of, it takes away from the majesty, from the miracle, from the ever presence all around our world and out in space. We know we're not the only ones in the universe, and not the only ones in our galaxy. These are mind-blowing brain explosion, expansion, thoughts and concepts. So Sandy, and then I want to ask Joanne, because I already know Joanne's, but so Sandy, you're Hare Krishna, and you used to be, was it Catholic?
No, just I think they're called charismatic Christianity, like
It was
speaking in tongues, healing,
right.
whole 9 yards.
That's right, the Bible thumping belt. Yeah.
And I don't just follow Christian anymore. I'm sort of more like you.
Yeah.
I take a little from everything.
Good. That's one thing
To
that,
read the words of Jesus, always will. I more deeply now into nature and the goddesses, and I have so many altars in my apartment. It's, Krishna is a part of it because I love him. I know he loves me, but I don't have to put a face on that because I believe that he, source, whatever, gave us the ability to, I'm going to say work, but I'm going to say work in whatever realms we choose to or we feel gifted to, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I mentioned Joanne. Joanne is one of my besties who is, I just love this woman, who is from the Northern Territory of Canada. She's Dene. Of course, you can tell I'm really proud of that. And would you share with us, because a lot of people and on the replay won't understand the, well, maybe they will, because as Sandy said, at some point we become, it's rather shamanic, taking pieces all around the world and putting it together. Would you like to share with us, I can't speak for you, even though I know what you're going to say, but would you share with the video here with the audience your concept of God and how it fits in with the way you were raised? We're all learning from each other here.
Sure. So I believe in Creator. I believe that we have ceremony, and so we have different levels that we could pray to, that we could speak to, have dialogue with. I call it. I don't know. I don't like to get too. I don't want to use too many terms. It's so vast, right? And so I just like to say that it's wide levels that we practice to. And I also don't say too much because people steal our knowledge. Indigenous knowledge is stolen all the time and reused and sold for money. And so I'm taught to be very careful of what I say. So I don't really tell you everything, and I never, because we're not supposed to.
Right.
That's part of to save what we have and to keep what we have. We have to protect it, and we can't just because the more that we say, then it becomes like Hollywood. So in spirituality, we have to be very careful with with what we have, because it's God given. Creator gave it to us. It came straight from the Creator right down to us. And then it comes into us, and then we know what we're supposed to do. Even past generations, that's what they do, and that's what we still do. And we still have to fast for what we earn. There's processes in ceremony that we have to do in order to get what we have and to keep it, and then to teach it, and then to down our family line, down into the generations. And so it's oral, it's not written, it's not video camera, it's not recorded for later on use. It's none, we don't do that. And so that's part of the teachings.
Beautiful.
And so, yeah, it's there for everybody. And we all have our own way, right? Yeah. And the most important thing is that we believe. We believe that there's something bigger than us, and that we can access that help, because the helpers are there. The help is there. We have to ask for it. We have to start the conversation. We have to open our eyes, our heart, our minds, our souls, our bodies, our beings, and even expansion from that to Creator, and work with Creator to be on this earth. And then and then further on. And then there's a whole dimension of what happens when we're not, our bodies aren't, we're not here in our bodies anymore, right? And that's, we all say it differently, but I think we're all on the same kind of path.
Right, right.
It's so cool.
It
I
is.
love it.
And something that you said was
I love the
very,
spirituality piece to that.
something you said was very powerful. We hold it for ourselves. How many people hold their own truth for themselves? Yes, we like to share it too, but inward is where it needs to go. Honoring inward, because that's part of the healing of the relationship with spirit. That's one reason why I'm so glad you said this, because it is really powerful to have a clean, proper relationship with you in spirit. And so
Yeah, sacred.
very,
It's sacred.
very sacred. Right, right.
It has to be sought after, and when the sacredness is gone, or you don't have the respect and sacredness, it changes the concept. It changes everything, and we're not clean anymore, like you're saying. So that's what we have to be careful for with spirit. We have to be really super careful with it, and we have to completely be sacred with it, because things can change when you're not being sacred. And that's a whole other classroom of stuff, right? When we're not being sacred anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Did you
Yeah.
want to say something, Lori?
Yeah, I mean, I have come across, because I'll just share a little bit about my background. I was always a very much a part of organized religion as I grew up, and I certainly have nothing against certainly organized religion, or I'm not suggesting that at all. But as I started to expand and bring in and be open to other pieces, I felt like God was speaking through me in so many different areas. So all of the organized way that I was taught was just a sliver of how God could speak to me. And one of the things that I really enjoyed is a little tiny book I owned, and it would compare sayings and concepts from 15 different religions and different, and it was so incredible. They were all saying the exact same thing. And so, maybe I'd been taught this is the only way, and don't look outside of this one particular way of thinking and seeing God, and really what it really led me to many years of studying, because I am a student. What it led me to was there is this beautiful overarching truth and knowledge, and it comes down to us through many different ways, but it's all the same, and it all has the same beautiful source. So that is why we can sit together as Hare Krishna and Muslims and whatever else we are, and we're all, if we're really understanding the truth, taking care of it, like Joanne said, and tying into that bigger picture, that bigger source of it all, we're all in the same place. And that is there was such a revelation for me, such a freeing thing, such a source of great peace for me, knowing we are all from the same. We don't have to see ourselves as, one person believes this, another that. If we're truly tied in, we're all connected to the same higher place. So that's what I wanted to say, what reminded me of in my own journey, and the sources that I had come across that helped me reach that understanding.
Thank you. I'm putting up the song because it was asked for. That's what I was disturbing you all with. Sorry.
Perfect.
Apologies. It's so interesting how each of us have our relationship with source. Boy, my coffee dried my throat, sorry. The source, creator, God, love. When you think about it, in the metaphysical way in which I was raised, we had 7 synonyms for God: love, principle, mind, soul, spirit, life, and truth. And when you think about that, God is love, right? God is truth, God is principle, God is soul, God is mind, God is intelligence. I know I missed one there. But the point is, we are that. Divine love is that. We're practicing, or at least I'm a teacher of love. And so when you think about that, what is a teacher of love? It tries to take and teach and show and practice and exemplify everything back over into the state of love, the grace of love, which is God, divinity. We've talked before about when we talked about healing ourselves. What path did we want to be on? It's the same thing or similar to spirit. We must heal the interior wounds that humanity has placed upon us in order to allow that part of our story to go so we can be filled, perfectly filled from the toes to the top and all the way around, filled with love, filled with the truth, filled with intelligence, mind, spirit, love, principle. One of the words that a lot of people will hear from me is when I'm working with them on healings or something, principle. If you are in alignment with principle, living a principled life, you're in alignment with God. You're doing everything you are doing correctly. How can you struggle and suffer? If you think about that as an awareness, if I live to my highest sense of right as a human, moving into the spiritual sense, how can I be anything other than spirit as well? We have souls, we know that. Does that concept sound, and it might, very left field to anyone in here? Or does it sound right? Like if you live a principled life, everything flows more smoothly. What does a principled life look like to you? It looks like something different to everyone, right? For me, I started looking at myself literally at age 9, not judging myself, but holding myself accountable to being the likeness of God. And this is what happened to kick that into gear. I'm the youngest of 4. I had really bad buck teeth. My brothers used to call me Bucky Beaver. And I sucked my thumb until I was 9 years old. It's my comfort thing. I now hold things and rub them around in my hands because it's the same thing as sucking my thumb. And so I went to the orthodontist. I had the worst teeth. I was the youngest. And I had to do a lot of mouth exercises and reform my mouth. And the other ones started getting braces. And one day my grandmother sat me, well, when I was in the orthodontist, the orthodontist said, "When did you stop sucking your thumb?" I said, "Oh, I've already stopped," and never put my thumb in my mouth again. Now, thinking about it now, could he see that my thumb was red and crinkled? I don't even know which one, I guess it's this one. My thumb was red and crinkled. I'm sure he could have, because at 9 years old, if you're sucking it every night, all night long, you must have a red, crinkly thumb. So in that moment, I chose to then give it up because I said so. And I knew, I don't know how I knew, maybe it was something my grandmother told me, but I always knew God was watching and that I had to be honest and truthful because the most important thing to me was watching me. Didn't do it in fear. I did, well, maybe I did, but I did it in the sense that I wanted to be, I can't even tell you what a 9-year-old at the moment, just that I wanted to follow God. I think I'm an unusual person. I don't want to say I'm a weirdo. I didn't talk about God to people when I was little, outright, like my friends, hey, let's have healing classes right here. I didn't do that. But it's about our awareness. Everything is a choice and everything guides us back to ourselves. When we're teenagers, how much do we want to drink? How much do we want to disobey our parents when they say don't go out? Come on, everybody has to learn. It's okay. I was a goody two shoes, unfortunately. I wish that I was a little bit more wild when I was young. But seriously, everybody has to learn, right? That's how people learn, is sometimes going out of alignment or not being principled. It doesn't make me any better or different than anyone else. So please don't think that I'm trying to say that. It just shows a vision of somehow a little girl knowing that she wanted and needed to be principled, because that was one of the synonyms for God.
Mia, we've talked so much in this class already, and we will continue to talk about, that connection. We talk about connection with your higher self, connection with your authentic self. When I say those things, we hadn't got to this subject yet, so we didn't really, dive into it with respect to this topic, but that's what I really mean, right? When you're tied in and acting from your highest self, that in essence is you are connected with the divine in you. You're connected with your godliness. And so because people will say, well, how do I know, do I follow the rules of which set of rules do I follow in order to be principled, in order to be doing the work of God, in order to be satisfying him? And really you have those answers inside of you, and you don't necessarily need, right? If you are truly tuned in, you know exactly what principled is, you know exactly what you need to be doing in order to serve and in order to be to maintain your connection. And that's, we feel that, and that is one of the other reasons why we're always paying attention to our emotions. And our emotions are such a guide for helping us know if we are living in that connected space, or if we are allowing our hurts, like Mia is saying, we have to heal. If we're going to live this way, we have to heal, because it is the misconceptions, the misperceptions that we live under when we are not healed that prevent us from being connected and knowing and hearing and being able to act on the words or the way that the divine is communicating to us. So it's all like, it just keeps coming full circle. And it's that's why, each one of these topics, we're taking them by themselves, but they're all so interrelated and they all support one another. That's why you can't really do work in just one area, and think that it's going to have the effect that you want. It's really, we're going to keep all of these concepts keep coming back to each other and building and supporting each other. And I really see that connection with higher self. Today, we're talking about it as being your connection with God, with the creator. And so that is just, I wanted to mention that as we keep coming back to it. And again, our emotions are a great help to us to see, am I connected? Am I living in alignment? Am I being authentic? Because if the answer is yes, then you're acting in a principled, godlike way. And that is, there's a certain level of trust that comes in there, and I would say flow and ease as well.
Yeah. And how many of you are afraid of God? Okay, good. There's a lot of fear that's put into people when they're younger. The wrath of God instead of the love of God, right? The wrath of God.
Yeah.
And so, did you want to say something, Lauren?
Yeah, Mia, it just reminded me of something. I have something here that I wrote down from Wayne Dyer, and it's just such a beautiful part of what you're saying. He says, you are not just a part of God, you are altogether God, and God is altogether you. And that's scary stuff for a lot of people, he says. We weren't raised to believe that. And I'm not saying you ought to go out into the world and say, excuse me, but do you know you're talking to God? And the reason we laugh is because we think of God as the God that we've created in our own image, the God of the ego, the God who's angry, the God who wants special favors, and the God who has the ability to heal but withholds. But there's another word that Jesus used in the New Testament, and this is the God I'm speaking of, quoting him. God is love. And he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in me, and I in him. God is love, pure, unconditional, blissful, divine love.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Les Wayne Dyer. There's not very many metaphysicians that are out there today still. Yeah, Louise Hayes and him both are gone now. It's he's a magnificent thinker and speaker, and anytime you can get into, so metaphysics is a relationship between God and man. Simple, that's it. It's not scary, it's not crazy, but we do speak a different form or a different version, as you could hear Lori speaking, reading Wayne Dyer's words. Those were powerful. It's not saying, I want to know my relationship to God. It's telling you, this is it. This is it. And so in that space, there's freedom. There's softness. There's a place to land, a place to heal, a place to love, a place without fear. And that's what we have to keep remembering, because the human experience or the human dream can be filled with fright and fear. And, you know, we're in a pandemic right now. We still are in it. It's not over with. There's all these variants and there's all this financial stuff going on, and cars are costing a lot more money. And, you know, it's simply because we were closed down for a year and we're all rebuilding. But that can create so much fear that humanity can't function smoothly. So don't allow it into your space at all. Keep it, like Joanne said, within. I keep it in here.
Yeah.
It's her joy, it's her space. So within us, we have to keep what we know always circulating in us. Even if you mantra it, you know, like my mantra at night is, I am cancer free, I am love, and I am beautiful. I added that one last night because we can shift our awareness back into who we naturally are. We can shift it very easily. The human part of us has created this storyline from the moment we were born. Sorry, guys, got to give this the work of the you know, the love mastery work that I teach. From the moment we're born, we have this misconception of who we are because we believe that our parents don't love us the way that we want to be loved because they're young. We don't speak the same language. They don't understand when we need to be changed, held, hold. They do it according to what Dr. Spock or somebody else has told them. And so we create this stuff and we listen to our friends' parents and our relatives and our teachers and our clergymen. And then we start to listen to the news because our parents are listening to it. Do you remember growing up to all this stuff, all this information? So once we clear that away, all the garbage that was placed upon us, it has nothing to do with us. Nothing at all. It's somebody else's thoughts that are imposed upon us. As we connect to self in a loving way, we get to go through, clear out, and bring in what we truly believe, what we truly feel. Emotions are one of the things that humans have that no other being in the universe has like us consciously. And I'm not talking about animals and stuff, I'm talking about other conscious beings like us. And who's saying that animals are not conscious? I'm telling you, my dog is the most conscious being I've ever seen. It's about going within and loving deeper, clearing away the lies that have been told to you, and recreating your story by breaking those lies, whether it's the mirror work, the inner child work, journaling, listening to those who want to support you, whatever it is. Lori and I aren't the only people on the planet. You know, we're one of the best peoples on the planet, but we're not, and I'm talking about in teaching, I'm not talking about as being great humans, I'm talking about as teachers. So you guys are teachers too. Anytime you move forward and shift and change your awareness, you're a teacher. One of my other teachers is in here, Joanne. We work together on a project. There's a lot of teachers in here and a lot of teachers who will be watching this. You are a teacher if you're changing, if you're shifting, if you're sharing. There's a difference between keeping something sacred, like what Joanne was sharing, and sharing what can change on an elementary or high school or college level. What Joanne's talking about keeping sacred are the sacredness of her heritage, of their belief system. But I know this woman, she gives and gives and gives to humanity. She doesn't hide. So it's not about closing down, it's about sharing. Anyone who takes any of my classes, or even if I work with you pro bono, I've asked, you have to share this stuff. I don't care how you do it. You have to help at least one other person. Joanne and I did that in our group, Universal Love Project. We said to everybody in there, you must share this with one other person in your lifetime in the next year or two, because you got to grow so you can share. That's how we help each other. That's how we move through things.
So Mia, as you're saying that, I just had this this thought, like, how do we do that? Because we feel like, we're going about our lives or living every day. How do we really touch people if we're not in a position to be, like you and I, where that is our calling and our profession? So, just each of you reaching out and to somebody and saying, hey, would you like to join me in the Facebook group next week? And bringing them here and allowing them to, just experience whatever is being offered and whatever their heart might need that day. So just a way that we can all do that is by inviting somebody, bringing them along with you next week, maybe could be very powerful. And I love, Mia, what you were saying, that, when we, I kind of wanted to talk about, like, what do we get when we do this work, when we heal a relationship with spirit? What's the benefit at the end of the day? And it's exactly what you were talking about. It's, if I'm living in a body and I think I'm just a body and I'm going through the world and I'm a person, right, only, and I'm just flesh and blood and that's what I do, then all of these things that are coming up in life, the stress of just being, the things at work, the things that are going on politically and whatever, all the things that we see on the news and all those kinds of things, we are going to feel the fear that you were referencing. We're going to feel that stress. We are going to be living in survival mode, right? Living in all this danger, amidst all this danger and fear and frustration and all the other things. But when we recognize and remember and connect to ourselves as the spiritual being, then we know that all of that, none of that matters to us. We can't be affected by that. It doesn't mean that we ignore it. It doesn't mean that we pretend like, it's not going on, or that we don't have a part in the healing of it all. But we can maintain our true self, right? And when we do that and we remember that we're spiritual beings, we have a sense of safety. And I talk a lot about that being such an important aspect of our life and the way that we operate, because when we're safe, we operate in a much different way than when we're feeling unsafe. And you can think of it from like a scientific standpoint. If you are feeling safe, your nervous system is calm. And when your nervous system is calm, you have access to the most evolved parts of yourself. When you are feeling unsafe, you are operating from your survival system, that part of your brain that is only concerned about keeping you alive. And that part of your brain, it does not have access. It is not the part of you that is creative and loving and has, good ideas and your creativity and everything. So just thinking about it from that standpoint, if you are paying attention to your relationship with spirit and you are feeling connected, then you remember that you're safe and you have security as you move through the world. And feeling safe and having security as you move through the world means that you get to act as your most evolved self, as opposed to your protective self that needs to, just worry about how do I get through the next 5 minutes, not the big picture of my life and what the meaning of it and the purpose of it. So there really is like tangible, everyday benefit to you when you pay attention and heal to your relationship with spirit. So I'm hoping that me and I, that we can start to give you some really practical things. These are things to hold in your heart and to operate from, but what can you do starting, today or tomorrow? What can you do kind of really tangibly to work on this and to ask yourself and move yourself, shift yourself towards more and more connection with spirit? I have 2 ideas. One of them we already talked a little bit about, but one of them is to simply get quiet and ask for it. Taking yourself in a space. And at first this can be 30 seconds or a minute. You don't have to start with something, I'm going to do this for an hour. Be great if you're feeling called and you can be relaxed in that space for an hour. Absolutely. But most of the time, if this isn't something that we do regularly, it can feel very overwhelming, and we need to kind of train ourselves in this way. So literally just starting with something as small as 30 seconds or a minute or whatever you can do that feels doable for you, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, maybe sitting, maybe having some pencil and paper in case something does come through for you and you want to write it down and reflect on it, but just asking, spirit, I'm not, depending on where you are in life, but I'm not sure what to believe or how to train my mind or how to get close to you, or whatever the question is that's on your heart regarding, your relationship with spirit. Please help me. I'm open to your, to understanding. I'm open to what you have for me, whatever it is. You'll know what to say, but it's just the idea of creating a little bit of space for that to really start to happen. Maybe you feel like your relationship is good. I'm sure we could all agree that, things like that could always be better. We could expand it and live into it more. So maybe that time is more about expressing gratitude for the connection that you do have and evaluating, different areas of your life. And the point is just creating a little bit of space for it and being open to the communication. And from there, the next steps will follow. And the other thing was just like I'd mentioned before, tracking your emotions, which is something we've mentioned every week because it's such a powerful indicator of where you are. And if you're not where you want to be, then you have the ability to shift. I used to think that I was my emotions and that I had no control over my emotions. And it's like, well, here I am, I'm feeling, whatever it is, I got to deal with it. And then realizing that I had the power to change my emotions and therefore change my perspective, change my behavior, everything would flow from that, was probably one of the top 3 most powerful shifts that I made in my life. And so we'll keep mentioning it, but anytime you are feeling the emotions of, let's just take fear as one, as a emotion that is difficult. I won't call it bad because there are no bad emotions, but of the emotion of fear, say, or another emotion that you don't want to keep feeling, then you can say to yourself, oh, I'm not connected. I'm not remembering who I am. I'm God. Does God feel fear? Does God feel loneliness? Does God feel anger? Not that any of those things, again, are bad in and of themselves, but asking yourself, did I forget who I am, as a way to kind of track that. So those are the 2 things that I could imagine being very practical things. This is what I can do for the next week, and start to play with my relationship with spirit in a very tangible way. It gives me something to focus on. And then of course it will blossom into something else.
Can I share also, everyone, it's about that and getting in touch with yourself. How can we feel spirit if we don't know how to calm down to allow it to reside within us. The emotions are so important. Stop and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Your body will tell you if you talk to it.
Yeah.
And then we are so brilliant. We're these brilliant creatures that can retrain, repattern, create new, a very new experience. Dance is so important for the feminine and the masculine. So men have things that it's not about them, oh, let's shave our beard and put on our stuff. It's about the man getting in touch with himself, just like it is about the woman. Doesn't matter about my hair when I'm in the space of my creation of femininity, in that movement of dance, of interpersonal development. You are developing yourself through movement. When you use it to align yourself to spirit, to God, that's where it all comes through and you can feel it. So I suggest this to get in touch with your divinity and your femininity and combine them. As I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about how Indigenous all over the world dance, and how they praise and they're dancing, right? They're doing this to elevate themselves, to connect, to heal. So let's take ideas like Sandy was saying, pieces all over from around the world and utilize it for us. It's not about mucking up anything. It's about getting centered. What makes you feel good? Do you connect to your femininity? Do you connect to something from Argentina or Spain or Ghana or, boy, we're a big place. There's so much that everyone has the opportunity to discover that elates them, that lights them up, that sets them on fire.
Yeah. That's straight from God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're saying do that also.
Yes.
Would you like to give a little bit of homework for today's session?
Yeah, I think that those three things is the perfect homework. Number one, creating a little space, whatever that feels like time-wise, and whatever question you want to bring into that space, just opening yourself to the communication with spirit and letting it be whatever it is. And the other thing is that are kind of tied is keeping track of your emotions and noticing where you are and asking yourself the question, did I forget who I am, essentially? And then looking for those things that Mia's talking about. What shifts me into my highest vibration? Is it, dance? Is it being outside? Is it doing something artistic? Is it, a warm cup of something that you really bring consciousness to and enjoy it and feel like you're in the moment, being present, those kinds of things. So whatever it is, and I would love actually if when we came back together, if you just shared those with me, with us, what was the thing that really, where you felt such peace, you knew that was time that you were spending truly connected with spirit. And that, it's not always going to be the same thing. We just need different things at different times. So that's okay. But what is it for you? I'd be very curious to hear next week, and knowing that we're going to be together and talking about it. Maybe we'll give you a little bit extra motivation to really look for it.
And before we, the next step here is, was there anyone who wanted to talk about homework from last week or share? There's a couple of people on the lines that were here last week. And one good thing about having these on the replay, you guys get to go back and listen and do some of the work that we say if you like. It's up in the Self-Love Revolution classroom.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I share?
Yes, of course. I've been waiting for you. I could tell you were coming on.
Yeah, because I was looking at my notes from last
Thank
week.
you, Sandy.
When one thing I wanted to share was something you said about just today, just a short while ago about, I'm losing my concentration, about talking to spirit. One thing that I do and have done for quite maybe a year now is before I go to sleep at night, I'm a person who uses, I think in Wicca, they call them flying ointments that help you with dreams. I use one called Dream Portal, and it maybe takes 10 minutes to take effect. And it allows you to, before I fall asleep, I ask Divine, is there something you need to teach me? Is there something I need to heal? Is there something I need to let go of? I'm gonna get emotional. Is there something I need to let in? And as I sleep, can you show me that? And I either feel like I've traveled and I've spoken with family members and friends that have passed, or I'll have a dream that when I wake up, I'll immediately write down what that was. And then I kind of ponder on that for a while and see, is there healing that can bring? Is there something that can change in my life? I do that. And then as far as from last week, I did a lot with the forgiveness, the looking in the mirror and forgiving
Beautiful.
myself, because I think I've done a lot with forgiving people that I feel have wronged me or whatever in my life and trauma I've been through, but I haven't completely dealt with forgiving myself for maybe allowing people in my life and keeping them there, or allowing myself to not be principled, which was a big chunk of my life. And so I think I've done a lot of just looking at the forgiveness and how I speak to myself. And I've corrected myself many times in the last week.
Good.
And saying, Sandy, no, stop. Don't talk that way to yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. You must feel lighter this week, having done that work.
And the practice that you're doing for a year and a half, that's pretty committed, to your own growth, to your own space. That's what we're talking about, creating something that supports you in your growth. Some people meditate for 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day, or several times a day. Some people meditate for hours a day, right? Whatever, yes, and he whines. And whatever makes, the individual feel good, and to elevate and raise us, that's what we need to do. We're gonna be there for a minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandy. That's awesome. I really appreciate that.
Me too. Thank you. All right, so we have, let me see, do I still have it up here? So we will be back on the, whoops, hold on. Somebody keeps hitting my arm. We will be back on the 3rd of January with healing your physical body and your relationship with food. Then we also have the rest of the month, healing the inner child. The following week after that, healing your thoughts. After that, healing your emotions. After that, healing your nervous system. And many of you know that Lori and I have a year of divine healing coming our way in January. Or in February on the 15th. We're very, very excited about it. It's about people transforming their lives. I'm going to let Lori, she says it so much more eloquently.
Yeah. So as we've been talking here, it's like there's so many aspects to us as people. And so it's really, me and I started talking about how needed it is to be able to, look at all the facets of us, really dig into each of these topics more and look at, our physical health and our spiritual health, our emotional health, and our mental space. And from when we look at all the different pieces, bring them together and heal each of them in that kind of a, holistic way, then we're actually able to heal fully and be able from that place to create our lives of meaning and purpose and be the people that we want to be and have been called to be. So it's super exciting to be able to, look at all the pieces. And obviously that takes time. And that is why we decided, you know what, we need the year. We're going to take the time it takes and do the job right. So we're going to do it holistically. We're going to take the time that it needs to, and we're going to both individually and collectively really, truly heal ourselves.
So there was a question about, sorry guys, about the calendar.
Yeah.
And I guess at one point we had it up that we were going to have class on Monday, the 27th, healing your relationship with food. So wherever that was, it might be on the landing page. I have no idea. And maybe one of the emails I sent out, I thought it was all congruent from one cut and paste on the classes. So know that we are on a holiday, both Christmas and New Year's break. And we're really excited to see you guys on.
Yeah. So we combine those two. The 27th and the 3rd, we're putting them together so that that week between Christmas and New Year's can just be a time of, you know, letting all this kind of settle in, using what you've learned, looking at what you've learned over the last 3 weeks and where your spirit is calling you to put a little time and attention. And then when we come back, we'll kind of switch over to, you know, the physical, because it's definitely all about the spiritual and the mental and the emotional, but we have physical bodies that when they are operating from an optimal place and we have energy and we have good immunity and all the things that we need to just to feel good, then the other work is a lot easier.
And my apologies for not catching that before that we put them. I'm sorry. I just, you know, I'm just like, okay, I go with the flow. I'm always caught by the ones that take my classes all the time. So thank you. I don't have to say who it is, but thank you. I appreciate, she knows I love her and appreciate her always. The little things that I miss, she catches. I love it. Keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
All right, everyone. We are around, though, if anybody has questions in the classroom, just write us a note. Any questions, whether you're having anything going on during the holidays that you need support with, we're here for you. So write us in the classroom or write us privately a message in, you know, either by email or by messenger, and we will answer and support you. Lori and I might actually even go in and do a live for fun in the classroom over New Year. Not quite sure yet. We've got a lot of fun things. We have a huge party at the end of this that we're going to come out with 8 speakers on a panel and the 2 of us, so it'll be 10. And we're collecting these beautiful women who are coaches. And when I say collecting, I just mean for the panel, who are going to share feminine graces and divine healing. It's going to be really, really beautiful. So we're very excited. Is that the last Friday of January or the week before that?
Yes, it is. No. You know what? We should post it. Yeah, we should post it because we've got so many different opportunities coming up that I don't want to misspeak about that, but it's in January, mid to late.
Yeah.
So we'll post that date because it is going to be fun and it's a chance to really feed off that energy. You know, when these incredible group of people get together, there's just something that happens. And so hopefully you guys will all be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, happy holidays, whatever you celebrate, solstice, Christmas, Kwanzaa, everything, literally. It's all packed into this week, and then Happy New Year.
Yes, thank you for spending time with us. I appreciate you very, very much.
Thank you. And Diane, I will be reaching out to you in a bit with an email. And Nicole, I sent you a text, and okay. And Lori, can you stay on and we'll finish up? Okay. Oh, I forgot to turn it off. Sorry, everyone.